Hi, welcome along. I am Dr. Marianne Trent, and I am joined here today with my friend and very esteemed colleague, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, so I'm Dr. Davey. I'm a clinical psychologist, yeah, thanks for the little banner there, Marianne. So I've specialised in trauma work for a long time, for most of my career, and more recently have specialised in birth trauma, baby loss, and perinatal and postnatal issues.
Lovely. Thank you so much for joining me. Obviously, we came into each other's world probably in about 2007, 2008, didn't we, when we were both working as assistant psychologists. And we have realised from Facebook memories that actually, you know, a million years ago today, we were actually together, dressed up to the nines at a party, weren't we? So it feels kind of quite appropriate that we are here again today. But we have been in touch more recently than that, of course, haven't we?
Yeah, like every day.
Yeah, like every day. Oh, it's so nice to have you here. And, you know, we're discussing such an important topic today. You know, we're discussing how best we can support, understand, and empower and validate and normalize lost parents. You know, I think that might be the most appropriate term, but, you know, I will let you introduce a little bit about what we're going to be talking about, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, as I said, one of the areas that I'm really passionate about and support women with, and men with actually, is baby loss. As someone who specialised in trauma work for a long time, I had a stillbirth myself. My daughter was stillborn 3.5 years ago. And yeah, sadly, obviously one of the most difficult times of my life. But having somehow process that and come to terms with that as much as one can, I wanted to use that experience to be able to help and support other people who might be in a similar situation or experiencing their own loss. And many of the people I see have spoken to other counsellors or psychologists, psychotherapists, other people first, and have felt that people haven't really understood their experience in quite the way that they want to. So they seek me out because they know that having had first-hand experience, that I might be able to understand in a slightly different way.
Yeah, I mean, they do say you don't have to be hit by something hard to know it hurts, but it sure does hurt. It sure does help. You know, once again, you know, I've said it to you many times, but I'm so sorry for the loss of your child. I know how difficult it was, and you know, it's admirable that you've been able to take that pain and take your experience and turn it into something positive that is so supportive of so many people. We never know when grief is coming for us, do we? This is what we've learned, and I just think you're incredible. Well done to you.
Oh, thank you. It's really kind. Yeah, it's something that I'm really, really passionate about. So yeah, it's a part of my work that doesn't feel like work at all. You know, it's just connecting with people on a heart-to-heart level, and yeah, being able to see and feel their pain in a way that, you know, be able to hold it in a way that feels hopefully helpful. And part of that is, you know, you've talked there about how obviously you know what the pain was like for me, because you were one of the people who was absolutely by my side throughout my loss, and I couldn't be more grateful for that. And I know you've said yourself that when you wrote the Grief Collective book, part of the motivation for that was about you had people around you and you wanted other people to feel that support, and likewise that's my motivation for the work I do. I was really lucky to have 4 friends who were clinical psychologists who were absolutely there for me and in my pain with me, and I knew that made a huge difference and huge difference to me, and really helped me in my grief in a way that other friends who were supportive didn't necessarily get it in quite the same way. And I know that not everybody is able, you know, lucky enough to have friends and family in their life who get it and can feel in that pain. So yeah, I wanted to be able to offer that to people if they haven't got that elsewhere.
I absolutely hear you. You know, like you said, one of the reasons I did put the Grief Collective together was because I just felt so incredibly lucky to have this phone full of people who were empathic and warm and validating, and who were happy to message me, you know, day or night, to talk about whatever I needed to talk about, or who also messaged me and kind of were willing to poke the hornet's nest, you know, if I seemed all right, you know, because as we know, you know, even if we look like we're all right, sometimes we're not. And I think that's something very different that we do as psychologists. And so, you know, your work and the work with the Grief Collective, and of course your work with your Rainbow Baby book, which we will talk about a little bit later, it's, you know, it's our way of spreading the value of clinical psychology far and wide for all to hear, but also welcoming people into that club so that they have got people that get it, that know, you know, that it's not just them, they're not struggling alone.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. It's about people getting it, but it's also, as you said, they're about kind of poking. It's I think psychologists are so used to being able to sit in other people's pain or distress without, you know, and that feeling okay and comfortable, that I think that was one of the things that really stood out for me as different with my clinical psychologist friends versus my non-psychologist friends, is that other people will be quite scared to say the wrong thing, or do I talk about it, don't I talk about it, or whereas psychologists are, you know, just in it, you know, my psychologist friends were in it with me and absolutely not afraid to ask how you were, and I knew that they could, you know, cope with whatever the answer was, whether that day was a good day or bad day. So yeah, absolutely, I want to be able to, yeah, provide even a snippet of what I had for other people, if they don't have that, because it was invaluable to me.
For sure. And you still remain the only person in the world who I've ever sent pictures of myself crying to. And who has responded by taking a photo of herself crying and then sending it back to me.
Mutual tears, yeah, absolutely in it together, weren't we?
So valued, and you know, such a difficult point in both of our lives, and yet so needed and so important. So everyone should have someone that they feel like they can be their genuine open self with, and if that is not someone in your life right now, then that might be a sign that it's appropriate to reach out to somebody that you do feel you can be your true self and open and cry and not feel like you need to stem those tears. You know, I've got a box of tissues here, but we often say in therapy that actually I would never personally pass somebody a tissue, because it's kind of it can be a sign, can't it, like stop crying, because people will often do that because they don't really know what to do. So but yeah, you know, right there with you, Cara.
Absolutely. And for those who didn't know, we were grieving at the same time for different things as
we
well.
Were, yes. So I was very much moved by your distress and vice versa, but we were both grieving at the same time. It was another strange kind of alignment of fates, wasn't it? So my dad died shortly after you'd had your stillbirth. And obviously I had known that my dad was going to die whilst you were pregnant. So you'd already been supporting me with that before you had your grief. And it's just such an awful collision of fates that they aligned.
Absolutely.
Could you tell us a little bit about the baby loss groups that you run, Cara? Because again, they are amazing and should be shouted about more.
Wow, thank you. Yeah, so I'm a trustee for a charity called Oscar's Wish Foundation, who are amazing, who supported me after my loss. They're a local Sussex charity. And at the start of lockdown, so Oscar's Wish really kindly, for those who have recently had a loss and are under the support of the hospitals, they really kindly fund 6 sessions of counselling for the families who were supported by them. And at the beginning of lockdown, the counsellors that they work with were all furloughed, and therefore that counselling support that they provide suddenly just disappeared for all the families, which was an absolutely devastating loss, because for those who were going through a loss in lockdown, not only did a lot of them end up having a loss alone, because they weren't allowed to be accompanied by partners, etc. But then a lot of the support group and places that might get support all shut down. So when I heard this, I was, you know, just so pained for those families. You know, I just felt for them so much that that's where the baby loss group started from. So it started as something for Oscar's Wish, for those families and anyone within Oscar's Wish who was waiting for counselling, who you know, needed that support, for them to have come to the group. They're Zoom, held over Zoom once a month, on the first Sunday of every month, except I'll just caveat, this Sunday it's been moved to the second Sunday because I have a commitment I couldn't move. But generally, hello James. Um, so yeah, they are the first Sunday of every month at 2 o'clock for parents who are talking about their loss. Often that's recently bereaved parents, but doesn't have to be. But those talking about their loss. And then the second group at 3 o'clock is for families who are pregnant again after a loss, and navigating the emotional roller coaster. That is, it's called a rainbow pregnancy, often known as a rainbow pregnancy. So yeah, they run every month, and as I say, they started for Oscar's Wish, and then actually I had quite a few families who I was supporting as one-to-one clients, kind of privately, who weren't Oscar's Wish families, who I then said, oh, these groups are running if you'd like to join, and that started, and then actually being, well, hang on, they're online, it doesn't need to be Sussex based anymore. And there were many families joining when I had them just as Oscar's Wish, and I thought actually this would be more beneficial if I could open it up and more people could attend, and more people can support each other. So now it's for anybody.
It's great. Can people watch on catch up if they can't watch it live, or is it you don't record it?
No, they're not recorded, just because it's so emotive for some people, and I think actually if they were recorded it might affect how much people share. Often sometimes people join who've only had their loss maybe a month ago, or and there's points, I should say, people have the option how much they interact in terms of the groups. So some people might literally just listen, and they might not, they might have the camera off, might have the sound off, and they're literally just listening, and that's enough to just hear that they're not alone, or to hear other people's experiences. Some people have their camera and the microphone on, and they talk, and then they switch that off if they become very emotional and feel like actually that's difficult and they want to kind of go back off camera. A lot of people start at least with the camera off, and then they realise that actually it's a really nice supportive space, and that changes throughout the call, and they say, oh, thank you for enabling me to feel so safe that I can kind of turn the camera on, and actually it's fine to cry with the camera on if you're comfortable, but it is absolutely what is comfortable and okay. And some people attend that alone, some people do it in as a couple, so it varies hugely.
Sounds like people feel comfortable to kind of dip a toe in however it feels okay for them to do that.
Yeah, that's the hope. I want people, I'm aware that Zoom isn't the best, no one wants to see their face when they're kind of deeply distressed, and for some people they might think, oh, I don't think I want to join a Zoom group, and it's not the same as an in-person group. But actually lots of people who attend feedback afterwards saying how much comfort they get from being around other people, feeling that people understand, and there's absolutely no pressure, which for lots of people who I get quite a lot of people who say, I never intended to turn the camera on, and actually it felt really natural and normal and okay to do that fairly quickly into the group. So yeah, there's never any pressure, but it's absolutely okay to change that as needed.
And people can sort of come along to one session but not the next, and then come to another one. There's no kind of prerequisite as such.
No, absolutely not. I don't ask anyone to let me know in advance. Some people do let me know in advance, but they don't have to. I know that sometimes you can wake up on that day and feel like I really need this, or likewise, actually, I can't face this today. Sometimes people will message in advance and say I'm coming, and then they don't come because actually it's been tough. So it doesn't matter either way. No one has to register, and like you say, there's no commitment. Just come when it feels useful, and don't when it doesn't. There's quite a few regular attendees now. There's a few people who've been coming for a few months who are really, really supportive of other group members, and often people comment not just on the group itself, but on individual members of the group and say, oh, that person was so helpful, and I know that some have then connected outside. So I've got a Facebook page which is called Cara Clinical Psychologist in Sussex, and a lot of people who join the groups or people interested in baby loss support will like that page, and I only share baby loss related kind of information on there. But a lot of people have found each other through there, and then connect and support each other outside of the group as well. So it's a nice space for people to meet other people who might be in similar situations. And I should say the losses vary hugely. So it could be a loss in pregnancy, it could be postnatal loss, it could be a SIDS type, sudden infant death type situation. It's there are various situations, and so sometimes people will find someone else who's in a similar boat and say, oh, I haven't found someone else in that situation. So that's a kind of nice opportunity for them to connect.
It sounds like a wonderful group, honestly. Well done to you, because it's clearly something that was needed, and it's entirely free, isn't it? There's no obligation, there's no incentive to do anything or buy anything.
No, absolutely not. No, I'm really strong and passionate on that this is absolutely, as I was saying earlier, it's about for those who don't feel that they have that support, and I think COVID has kind of taken away a lot of the support that was out there. It's absolutely free. There's no obligation to do anything, pay anything at all. It's a free service to help people who might benefit.
It's an incredible offering, Cara, and you know, it's a chunk of your time as well. It just shows you just how passionate you are about this, and about how supporting people to feel like they are, you know, they've got someone on their team, someone on their side.
Yeah, absolutely. So important, isn't it? Everyone needs to be on their side.
Can make all the difference, can't it? You told us a little bit about what rainbow babies are there, but I know that there's, you know, another cause close to your heart that involves rainbow babies. Could you tell us a little bit about your book baby, if that's okay?
Book baby. Said book baby.
There we go.
Okay. So there's a rainbow in my mummy's tummy is written for children who have who are aware of a stillbirth or a previous loss, and then their parents have another brother or sister, and to help them process and understand the emotions around that. So children are very black and white, and often when parents feel able to share the news that they might be pregnant again with a Hello, am I back?
Hello. I don't know if your sound went then, my sound went. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. So I'll repeat that because I'm not sure what you missed. Oh, there.
Go for it.
Is there a link we can share to those who might find this useful? Is that for the group, Sarah? Is that for the
yes.
I'll share the links. Yeah, at the end, certainly.
Yeah.
So the book is, as I don't know what you caught there, but I was saying that children can be quite black and white, and often when parents feel ready and able to share the news that they're expecting another baby, children can come out with very literal comments such as, will this baby die too? Or and that can be difficult for parents. It can be quite it can take them by surprise, but also it can show that children need kind of a bit of explanation and conversation around this, and many parents say they don't know how to have these conversations.
Yeah. I think we may have lost Cara. Yeah, basically the book is there's a rainbow baby in my mummy's tummy, and it is largely a picture book, but also has a really, really useful section at the back with important questions and answers that parents might be having, to help parents also understand but know how to answer questions that might come not just from their children but from other people about the loss as well. And the story guides you through the process of this rainbow pregnancy that then does end in a happier outcome with a baby who is born live and well. So it is available from Amazon. If you search for Dr. Cara Davey, you will find the book on there. And if you search for Cara Davey Rainbow Baby, that will come up as well. But it is a lovely read. I think Cara's just joining us again now. Let's see if she can pop back in. There we go. Hello, Cara. That's all right. I was just saying that there's a really useful Q&A section at the back as well to support parents as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, the back bit is basically how parents can talk to their children about what's happened with the loss, what's happening in future. So the book itself tells the story of a little boy whose mum is pregnant again, and the conversations they have together about the loss and how they feel about the new baby. So it's based on conversations I had with my eldest. But yes, so we'll share a link. Again, all proceeds from this book. I don't make anything from the book. I don't want anything, any profit from the book. It's purely to help families, and it's for sale on Amazon, and the royalties from that go to Oscar's Wish baby charity to go into supporting other lost parents.
Great, listening. You're like a modern day baby loss saint. You really are.
It's just a little bit that I can do in my daughter's memory to help others. And, yeah,
you're incredible. I'm just popping up there. So the link for the Rainbow Baby book is in the description with this one, just in case people haven't spotted that. And similarly, the link for the Grief Collective, which Cara is also in, her very moving story, Grief Collective Stories of Life Loss and Learning to Heal, is also available from Amazon. And yeah, it's an incredible read, Cara. I can't read it without crying and being moved.
Having read it back, I wrote it so quickly because we did a challenge together, didn't we, to write a book in a month?
We did.
And I wrote the Rainbow Baby book and you wrote that book. And so I submitted the chapter to you really quickly, whilst I was also trying to publish my own book. So I haven't read it back yet. I should read it.
Oh, well, I'm just popped another description in. Hold on a mo. There we go. So Zoom link for Cara's baby loss group was shared too. It would have been helpful if I'd got those from you before, so I can only apologise that I wasn't that organised. But I've learned something today, that when you schedule a StreamYard, it broadcasts it to everybody as well. So I know that our friend Michelle was sharing that for us as well today. So if you have found this discussion helpful, guys, please do feel free to share this comment, like, tag people, because as we know, people often don't want to talk about grief and loss. And so if you have stumbled across this and it's made you think of somebody who has recently, or maybe not even that recently, because grief has no timeline, does it, Car? People, I know I've spoken to you before about someone who had a loss a long time ago, and they were still welcome to attend if they wanted to.
Absolutely, yeah. There's no timeline, and I think people who, now we know a bit more about loss. Often there is a bit more support around, or most hospitals have a bereavement midwife, or there are some things around that. If you go back, say 30 years ago, if someone had a loss, they were probably just told to be quiet, not meet their baby, never talk about it again. And actually, that doesn't help grief at all. So there might well be people watching who say, actually, I think I could do with some support for a loss a long time ago. And that's absolutely fine too.
Yeah, absolutely. And, if people don't want to go to a Zoom group, they can, of course, reach out for private work, or they can reach out for public funded or charitable funded work as well. And I know that you do offer services, and this isn't a pitch for the services, this isn't at all what it was of. But if people are watching this and thinking they don't want to do they don't want to do a group, there is one-to-one available with you and also with other clinicians as well, isn't there? I think we've lost Cara again. But yeah, you can find Cara on her website, as she said previously, which is Cara, clinical psychologist in
Sussex.co.uk. Yeah, again, I'll pop the link in. But yeah, and I am registered with the insurance companies as well. So for those who have medical insurance through their work, again, that would be free because it would be covered by the medical insurance.
Lovely. I'm just going to bring your thing up and pop it on here so that people can see it as well.
So organised. You're like,
oh well. Retrospectively,
are there any questions? I know a few people have popped up and said hello. Is there anyone who wanted to ask any questions? Or
it's a good question. That if anyone's got any questions, please do. So yeah, that's how it looks. Cara, clinical psychologist in Sussex.co.uk, and then we probably don't. You can navigate your way around to Cara's website, but that's
that's the website, and there is a Facebook page which is literally just Cara, clinical psychologist in Sussex. So
great. I haven't spotted any questions, but I will just have a quick look on my phone to see if I can see any. I'll turn my sound down so I don't suddenly hear myself booming. Never nice when that happens. Because if you haven't been on StreamYard before, you need to enable your permissions for your name to show. So you may have seen people's names pop up, and that's because they've enabled their permissions. Let's have a little look. I think all the comments there are my own. Yep. problem with streaming to multiple platforms is that there's rather a lot to to catch up on. Oh, my kids have been watching Minecraft on my phone. I think we might have lost Cara again. But yeah, if you've got any questions, you don't necessarily need to do it now. So I know Cara is happy to take any questions retrospectively as well. She's gone. We're having some real connection issues here. But Cara, if you're watching or you're wondering about what the right way forward would be, please do comment on this live, even though you're watching on replay. And if you are watching on replay, please do give us a hashtag replay in the comments so that we know that you've seen it and that you've found value in it. I think Cara is back with us. There we go. I was just saying, if people are watching on replay, to pop a hashtag replay in the comments, and if there's any questions, we will absolutely mop those up after today as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Please do any questions below.
Have we covered everything? Is there anything you think that we haven't covered that you hoped we would today, Cara?
No, I don't think so. No, I think that's it. I think it was mainly about Oscar's Wish and the groups and the book. So,
just
but yeah,
remind us of when the next session is again. I know you did say, but just in case people have got a pen and they need to scribble it down, when is the next one happening?
So they are normally the first Sunday of every month at 2 o'clock for loss and 3 o'clock for those pregnant again. This month, just as a one-off, it's on the second Sunday, which is, let me just check that out to give you the right date, the 8th at 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock. And if you go to my Facebook page, the Cara Clinical Psychologist in Sussex, if you like that, every month I put a reminder the week before the groups are on that has the Zoom links, etc. And if there's any updates, it'll be in there. So if you think you might even be interested at some point, even if it's not this month, then feel free to like that page, and it's there for whenever you need it in future.
Yep, absolutely. And I hope that people won't need the service, because I hope babies are going to be,
no one needs
but it's really useful to know about these services, because it might not be you who needs it, but it might be someone that you know of, and then you can say, oh, I did watch a bit of live one day and they seemed all right, they seemed quite compassionate, you may want to check them out. So as we've said, we as psychologists and as humans found it really helpful when people reached out to us in our grief. So let's get you to be brave and try reaching out to someone who might need you as well. If you think that they've experienced a loss, they've experienced a loss and they might be struggling, then ask, don't be afraid to kind of check in with them, because it's really important, it's really valued, isn't it, Cara?
Yeah, absolutely. And also family members. Sometimes I get comments from family members who will send me a message of how do I best support someone, or I have also got a YouTube channel. I'm not very active on it, but again, Cara Clinical Psychologist in Sussex, but there are a few videos on there that I did with Oscar's Wish at the beginning, where people would submit questions and say things like how do I support a friend or family member who's been through loss, or and those questions were then answered in a discussion between myself and Gemma, who's the founder of Oscar's Wish. So it might be that if you've got a family or friend who's had a loss, or you yourself have had a loss and don't feel ready to reach out yet, there might be comfort in watching some of those videos and working out whether that would be. Yeah. Because
we both recognise that sometimes there can be just like a silence around grief, can't there? So I think probably for most people in my life, apart from my psychologist friends or mental health friends, there was kind of a bit of a silence, and I'm just acutely aware that if people don't have supportive empathic people around them, they might just be surrounded by that silence, and that's really tricky.
And that can be one of the most difficult things, and that's one of the things that comes up on the group quite often, is actually about the impact of what we call kind of secondary loss. So it's it's devastating enough to lose your baby, but then there's the change in relationships of people who don't contact you, who you thought would be there for you and aren't there, or feel uncomfortable, or there's lots of other kind of losses and difficulties that often come up on the group. So we don't want radio silence. If you need someone there, we absolutely want to make sure that someone can be there for you.
For sure. Thank you, Cara. It's been an absolute joy to see you. We need to get together again at some point in the future in the actual flesh for a lovely big cuddle. Now that's legal. In the UK we can absolutely sort that out.
A bit uncomfortable about that when you say that.
No, I did hug a friend today, and it felt nice. Yeah, for the first time in, you know, a couple of years now. But yeah, like, to hope things will be all right. She didn't seem that COVID-y.
We can chat.
You can't see it, can you? You can't see it. It's not like you can look at someone and say they've got allergy. It doesn't work like that. But you know, I haven't seen her for probably getting on for 3 years. So it's been a while. But yeah. Anyway, I digress. You know. Right, it's been so lovely catching up with you, and yeah, I will look forward to seeing you soon. And if people have got any questions or comments, do fling those through, because we can catch up with those retrospectively.
Absolutely. Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks so much, Cara. Absolutely welcome. Thank you. Bye now. Bye.